all, welcome to Binary Tips. Today in this class we'll be talking about structure of flower. So this topic is Ncert class 10 from the chapter How Do Organisms Reproduce. So before going into the topic, I would like to say a few things. I know we all are facing a lot of issues in life. I know we all are facing some or the other problems in life. But what is important in life is to not to give up. Okay, so I know you all are warriors and don't give up on your life, don't give up on yourself easily. Okay, so keep trying, work hard, make your parents proud, make yourself proud, be honest to yourself. That's very, very important in life. So be honest to yourself, do the right thing in life, do whatever you feel right. Don't go on others' beliefs. You do whatever you feel right. You be honest to yourself. That is very important. So with these motivating words, let's get started into the topic. So in this topic, we will be studying about structure of a typical flower. Now you all have come across different flowers, right? So you all have seen different flowers. So today we are going to see what is the structure, what are the different parts of a flower. So you can see the stalk of the flower, right? So you can see a green colored structure like a stem. So that is called as pedicel. Okay, we call it as pedicel. So pedicel is nothing but the stalk of the flower. Now can you see green colored structures just above the pedicel? So that is the sepal. Okay, so together we call them as sepals. They are called as sepals. So just above the sepals you can see different colors in various flowers. So each flower has different colors. So this colored part of the plant is called as petals. Okay, we call them as petals. Now, can you see the structure where it is slightly bulged? So that part which holds the flower, okay, which holds all the other flowers is called as the receptor. We call it as receptacle, or we also call it as thalamus. Okay, we either call it as receptacle or thalamus. Now, can you see something in the inner part of the flower? So that is the reproductive parts of the flower. So you can see something that is very long and has a lobe-like structure here. So that is the anther, and the anther is being held by a stalk-like structure or a thin thread-like structure which is called as the filament. We call this as the filament. Now this anther and filament together we call it as stamens. Okay, we call them as stamen. So inside these anthers we have small, very tiny grain-like structures called as the pollen grains. Okay, now can you see a structure which is somewhat elongated and globular at the base? So that is the female reproductive part of a flower. So this part at the top, the topmost part is the stigma. Let me just write it this side. This is the stigma. This elongated part of the female reproductive part is the style. And this globular structure, this structure outside is the ovary. So we call it as ovary. So this stigma, style and ovary together we call it as pistil. Either we call it as pistil or it is also called as carpel. Okay, and inside the ovary, in this part, you can see some globular sac-like structure. So that sac-like structure is called as embryo sac, and inside the embryo sac we have eggs. That is the female gametes, which we call as the ovule. Okay, let me explain it to you once again for you all. So this stalk-like structure or the stem of the flower is called as the pedicel. Above the pedicel, the structure which is globe-like or bulged is called as the receptacle or the thalamus. And just above the receptacle or the thalamus, we have green leaf-like structures called as the sepals. And above the sepals, we have the colored part. Okay, each flower has different colors. Okay, based on the flower and the species, the petals are different in colors. So this red colored part, the colorful part, is called as the petals. And this part, where you can see a long filament-like structure, that is thread-like structure with a lobed structure just above, that is the anther, and the filament is the male reproductive part, which we call it as stamens. Okay, which we call them as stamen. Now this part where it has a globular base and an elongated tube-like structure is the female reproductive part of the flower, and the topmost part is the stigma. Then the elongated part, the neck of the stigma or the female reproductive part is the style, and just below that at the base we have a globular structure called as the ovary, in which we have the female gametes, that is the ovules. Now moving on to the reproductive and the non-reproductive part of a flower. So we call the reproductive part of the flower as the essential organs or essential part of a flower. Why? Because they take part in the reproduction process. We call the non-reproductive part as the non-essential organs because they do not directly get involved in the process of the reproduction. They are just to protect the reproductive organs in the flower. Okay, so the reproductive or the essential organs are androecium and gynoecium. You don't have to get confused by seeing the term androecium and gynoecium. See, we already know, we have studied or we have heard in many, in our life that we have heard gyno. Gyno refers to the females, right? So gynoecium is nothing but the female reproductive part. And androecium is the male reproductive part. Andro, anything that starts with andro is related to the male. So androecium is the male reproductive part. Okay. Now when I say androecium, I mean stamens, right? So stamens, which means anthers and the filament together, we call it as stamens, right? So that is the male reproductive part, and gynoecium, female reproductive part, that is the carpels. Carpels or the pistil, which is having the style, stigma style and ovary, that is the female reproductive part, which I explained just before. So the non-reproductive or the non-essential organs, I have written here as calyx and corolla. Now seeing these terms also, you need not panic. Calyx is nothing but the whorls of sepals. So I told you that there are green leafy structures which are present just above the pedicel, right? So we call them as sepals. One is sepal, a bunch of sepals is called as a calyx. Okay, same goes with corolla. Corolla is nothing but whorls of petals. So if it is one colored structure, then it is a petal. Then if it is in a whorl or a group or a bunch of petals, is called as corolla. I hope this video was clear and I hope you enjoyed this video. Keep watching my channel and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching Binet Tips. Have a good day.